And then I have to explain to them that money doesn't buy happiness, right? Money just buys things. And things make you happy. If you have money and you're not happy, you bought the wrong things. Even if a few of you are looking at me right now like, what's this guy doing here? I already know Microsoft Excel. Hey, don't worry, I make learning fun, all right. Like, I get it, I give off a bit of a spreadsheet vibe. I feel like you look at some people and you're just like, that guy's fun. People look at me and they're like, that guy's organized. I'm in from New York. I live in New York, but I grew up in Canada. Like a lot of immigrants, I came into this country with nothing. Everything was shipped, and I came for school originally. That's why I moved here. I ended up getting a master's degree at MIT, and then I worked on Wall Street as an investment banker for a decade, and then I became a comedian. Oh yeah, thank you, sir. I really wanted to tease my parents before I disappointed them. Like, for 10 years, my parents told all their friends that their son was a vice president of investment banking at Goldman Sachs. And now, my parents tell all their friends that their son was a vice president of investment banking at Goldman Sachs. When people find out I went to MIT, they're impressed. And they should be. There's a reason Matt Damon wasn't a janitor at Yale. Right, it feels like some of you didn't get them apples. If you didn't get that joke, it's okay. I mean, that's a reference to a movie from the 90s. Right, if you didn't get that joke, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It took you guys a second, but you got there. Sometimes people don't believe me when I say I went to MIT. One time this guy was like, you just don't look like you went to MIT. I was like, is it because I don't look smart? And he goes, no, it's because you're making eye contact. That was a weird reaction. Some of you laughed, some of you seemed upset, there was a woo, that was a lot of different things happening at one time. That was wild. It's funny that I had this one life in finance and now I'm having this life as a comedian. And it's interesting when people from my finance life find out that I've now become a comedian, because they react in one of two ways. Right? Either they react like they can't believe that I would leave such a potentially lucrative career to become a traveling clown. And then I have to explain to them that money doesn't buy happiness. Right? Money just buys things. And things make you happy. If you have money and you're not happy, you bought the wrong things. I know so many rich, sad, depressed people with George Foreman grills. Or they react in the complete opposite way. They go, oh, Adam, we think it's amazing that you're chasing your dreams. Which is also not correct, right? A dream is something you wake up from and it's not true. What if I woke up right now and I wasn't in Provo? I grew up in Western Canada, in Alberta. If you don't know Alberta, it's the Texas of Canada. Right? Yeah, it's got cowboys and oil and a 1,000-kilometer unsecure border with Montana. Montana, or as my dad says, Canada's Mexico. Or as the Mexicans say, we tunneled too far. That joke requires an understanding of geography and tunneling. When I first moved to New York, I went out on a date with a girl, told her I was from Canada, and she went, wow, you're from Canada? My last 3 boyfriends have been from South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. I was like, well, I wasn't looking for someone with a Commonwealth fetish. Right, that joke required an understanding of British colonialism and tunneling. I grew up playing hockey, and I'll never forget the advice I got from my high school hockey coach. It was before a really important playoff game, right? He pulls me aside before the game, and he goes, Adam, don't skate to where the puck is. Stay on the bench. You're not very good. This is an important game. I'm a married guy. We live in Brooklyn, New York, and a fair trade coffee shop opened up in our neighborhood, and I didn't quite know what that was. But I went because I wanted to support a new local small business, and I order a medium coffee with room for milk, and then the barista goes, that'll be $10. I was like, that's not a fair trade. Like, what just happened? Do I own a coffee shop now? Like... Then I had to ask for the milk. I was like, can I please have some milk? He goes, absolutely. What kind would you like? I was like, well, what do you have? He goes, we have everything except cow. Oh, no. I was like, all right, just give me breast. And then he poured something into the coffee. I think it was worth $10. My knee feels fantastic now. We also had a new boutique hotel opened up in our neighborhood. And my wife said to me, Adam, next time you have a night off with no shows in New York, let's go spend a night at the new boutique hotel down the street, have a little staycation. And we did it, right? For more money than I will ever admit out loud, we spent one night watching a different TV. And the hotel was so new, they didn't have room service yet. Halfway through the night, she sent me back to the apartment to heat up leftovers and bring them back to the hotel. But relationships are about compromise, right? You gotta compromise. I felt like compromising really started when we moved in together. Like when we moved in together, I had to compromise. I let her pick out all the art for the walls, all the plants, all the decorative pillows. And in turn, she had to compromise. She let me live there. One thing she did when we first moved in together, she threw out all of my towels because they weren't a set. I was like, if you use them long enough, they'll match. And then she goes, they're all just disgusting shades of gray. I was like, exactly. Some of them started off blue. One night she woke me up at like 3 a.m. She elbows me awake. She's like, Adam, I heard something in the other room. Go check it out. So I went into the living room and watched TV for an hour. And when I went back into the bedroom, she was fast asleep. Which means she assumed the murderer just killed me and left. I was wearing a black t-shirt the other day, and she just looks at me and she goes, hey, Adam, have you lost some weight or is black slimming? Yeah, I hope that noise was you being on my side. I was like, you know what? You could have just stopped at the compliment. Right? After you compliment someone, you should pause before you offer an alternative explanation. Right? Like, I would never say to her, like, oh, is your cooking getting better or are we ordering in more? I would never. I'd never say like, oh, did you get your hair done or did you just pluck out those grays? I would never say that. No, I would never. Oh, you guys look horrified. I would never. And she knew she'd made a mistake. She tried to cover it up. She said, I'm just trying to tell you, you look good. And I was like, okay, thank you. Then she goes, you know what, Adam? It'd be nice if you told me I looked good every once in a while. So I was like, you look good every once in a while. We have a dog. We have a little 8-pound Chihuahua. Are you laughing at me, sir? Yeah. Does that make me more or less likable? I'm not sure. She's out the other day. She's out walking the dog, and I was back at the apartment. While she's walking the dog, she sent me a text message, and it just said, "Can you please do me a gigantic favor? Can you preheat the oven to 400 degrees?" And I just thought, that's not a gigantic favor. Right, that's just pressing a button. But then I thought, what does that say about what she thinks of me if she thinks that I think that that's a gigantic favor? I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't do it. I got so distracted thinking about what a low bar she has set for me. What an incredible woman, you know? We don't have kids yet, but like we're at an age where a lot of our friends have kids. And our friends with kids hate that we don't have kids. The same way like a drunk hates it when you're not drinking. But at least the drunk never makes you look at a picture of their drink. I had this one friend and he had 3 little girls, terrific little girls, and then his wife got pregnant again by accident with twin girls. Yeah, he went from having 3 little girls to having 5 little girls. Last time I talked to him, he goes, Adam, forget everything you know about math. 5 is 1,000,000 times more than 3. And I can't relate to having kids, but I know what he means, right? Like if my parents called me and were like, Adam, we want to come visit you in New York City for 3 days, I'd say, of course you can, you're family. But if they called me and said, we want to come visit you in New York City for 5 days, I'd be like, I'm in Utah that week. 5 can be 1,000,000 times more than 3. Okay, like if I eat 3 donuts, I'll work a little extra hard at the gym, not a big deal, right? But if I eat 5 donuts, I'll just finish the dozen. It doesn't matter at that point. 5 is 1,000,000 times more than 3. Like I told you I had a one dog, a Chihuahua, right? If I had told you I had 3 dogs, you'd be like, that guy likes dogs. If I told you I had 5 dogs, you'd be like, that guy needs a friend. 5 could be 1,000,000 times more than 3. Like, if I take 3 vitamins a day, I'm trying to be healthy, right? But if I were to say that I take 5 vitamins a day, I'd be like, that guy's listening to too much Joe Rogan. 5 is 1,000,000 times more than 3. If I killed 3 people, I'm a murderer, right? If I kill 5, I'm the star of a Netflix documentary. 5 can be 1,000,000 times more than 3. Like, take this joke. 3 examples would have been sufficient. And my dad and my brother are both doctors. It just means they have terrible handwriting. My brother once wrote me a handwritten birthday card. I took it to the pharmacy and got Xanax. And obviously that card, unlimited refills. One time at a show, I asked the audience if anyone was a doctor. Because if there'd been a doctor, I was gonna make fun of their handwriting. It would have been a fun little thing. What I didn't expect was this guy in the front row. When I said, is anyone here a doctor? He goes, I'm a doctor. So I was like, okay, sir, what kind of doctor are you? And then he goes, I'm a veterinarian. I'm an animal doctor. I was like, well, first of all, I know what a veterinarian is. I wasn't gonna thank you for your service. And second, if you're ever on a plane and the captain comes on and says, is there a doctor on board? Take a beat. Just wait a second. There might be a human doctor on that plane. And even if there isn't a human doctor, the only person you'd be helping is 4 rows back, there's a dentist who's just like, whoo, really dodged a bullet. Like, if you're ever at the airport and you see them, like, carry some guy off of a plane and he's got a cone around his neck, you'd be like, oh, he had a medical emergency and there was a veterinarian on board. My dad's not just a doctor, he's actually a brain surgeon, and I do this, so we both save lives. But I'm the one giving out the best medicine. Oh, wow. I sell healing crystals on the side, and it's funny growing up with a brain surgeon for a father. It's interesting when your dad has the job that everyone references when it's taken someone too long to make them a sandwich. We've all heard some version of this, right? Like, it's just a ham and cheese sandwich. It's not brain surgery. Brain surgeons don't say that. They say it's just a ham and cheese sandwich. It's not rocket science. Right? And rocket scientists are like, it's just a ham and cheese sandwich. It's not a perfect